Yeah, god damn it, I didn't hit the button. So I just made the video, now I gotta make it again. Alright, Hythloday, asymmetry. So he complained that I didn't answer his question, or he made it very clear that what his problem is, and blah blah blah. And he wants it plain. And I made it plain. And to prove it, here's my original notes from the original video before, not the original video, but the video with the math on it. And all you have to do is leave the, product, okay? 0 versus plus 1. That's why the asymmetry is important, because it demonstrates that we're better off never to have been, because not being is a plus 1 and being is a 0 at best. That's the argument being made, okay? Is that you have no risk of doing anything wrong. It's not even a risk component, but that's what I would convert it into. That would be corroborating evidence. So the asymmetry by itself is just an indicator that, like Houston, we have a problem, okay? Non-existence is coming off looking good, and existence doesn't look like anything. We look like we're better off mathematically. 0 versus plus 1. Yeah, that we're choosing the negative state, the less positive state, by choosing life. Yes, that's the premise, that's the conclusion of his book. And it's a book, okay? Yeah, it's not just the asymmetry, but this is what makes the hunt for the gold worth it. Okay, this is the piece of evidence that says, wow, we have to resolve that. And I would argue that through resolving, to figure out why it comes out that way, you figure out that the harm is the thing that has the real value. That we want fun as a replacement for unfun, for something not good. But we really don't need fun if we're already fine. If we're already perfectly comfortable, we don't need to be advanced in our condition. And that this advancing of condition is what's really going on. And it has nothing to do with having a positive condition. It has to do with advancing yourself out of some absence or lacking or missing or wanting or needing. And that the idea, this sense of gratification we gain, is a relative position change that creates that. And we have the illusion that we are gaining ground when we're still in a dungeon, merely because we've advanced ourselves closer to the light, therefore assumed that we are in a good condition, because we're better than the bad condition. And that's the syndrome. So anyway, that's corroborating evidence. All right, that's evidence that adds more weight to the crude asymmetry, explaining why the asymmetry exists. That there is this phenomenon where good comes in these two flavors. We assume the presumption of the common presumption is the good of relieving the negative, and then the good of doing something else, whatever that would be. The purely free gain, the free lunch. And what the asymmetry is basically saying, no free lunch. It's an illusion. If you really look through it, you'll see that you didn't get your joy for nothing. All of this has to be paid for, and we've been paying a huge price. And that's why we'd be better off never to have been, because then the huge price wouldn't be paid. And we wouldn't lose anything, because it's only a perception in our brain that says we need anything. And that's the failure. Alright, so plain. You need it plain. I just don't know how I can get plainer than that. The title of the book is Better Never to Have Been. The conclusion drawn based on the asymmetry as a piece of the evidence, as an indicator that there's a problem, is critical to is foundational to the pursuit of explanation, and the explanation through picking at it, I think, the resolution to the problem of this asymmetry is realization that there are no free lunches, there's no free good. Good only comes when there's the threat of a bad. The bad has to be in the picture somewhere, the lesser condition, the diminished condition. Somehow it has to be within the realm of possibility for any kind of perception even of good to exist. Whoa. And yes, so the asymmetry is, you find gold in the stream, and it indicates that maybe there's a lot of gold on the mountain upstream. And however you want to look at it, or vice versa even. But I can't make it any plainer than, life 0, no life +1. Because life can't be played without creating harm, and not living, you don't have any harm. And the good is, as my other examples point out, something that we don't sense, we put any gravity weight on in most circumstances. In most circumstances, human beings, in doing fair evaluations, are not troubled by the absence of more of something. I don't sit here and say, gee, I wish there was 10 more Garys just because they could have, just so they could have a good time. And I don't lament, oh damn, I wish those 10 Garys existed so they could have a good time. It just doesn't happen. Mostly because I know they're probably not going to have a good time. But anyway, better never to have been. Can't get any more of a statement of the conclusion that the asymmetry is evidence of. And I say rather pointed, direct, perhaps crude, perhaps it does need some conditional enhancements, but it does say it. It does indicate the real problem, is that not good is not bad, and that is a significant reality where all removal of bad is good, and always, except for, of course, the conditional where you're creating more bad, and the good of removing a bad is always good, and the bad of causing a bad is always bad. So the bad has solid consistency, where the good, outside of the realm of removing a bad, has a lot less consistency, and there's evidence, reason, to hash out the cause of that inconsistency, that asymmetry. And in the process of doing that, I think the only sensible conclusion is that existence fails because it creates problems that it solves. It doesn't solve problems it didn't create. It is I can't, it's not that there's not a closed efficiency, so I can't even say it's self, but the problem is it is its own liability. Unlike the snake eating its own tail, which I don't think is an unreasonable example, but you have to suspend reality in recognizing that there'd be a problem in where the snake is generated from. I mean, obviously it can't shit itself, you know, so that doesn't really work. So where do we go from there? Yeah. So I'm just saying that the conclusion is that there certainly is less risk. Okay, non-existence is fail-safe, and that it contains no significant causal reason to mess with it, to attempt to improve its condition, because what there isn't is any hard evidence of the existence of an improved condition outside of first the creation of an unimproved condition. And that's the difficulty. That's the, I can't say it any clearer, but it is a highly significant, highly important fact that the asymmetry, even in a crude form, does reveal itself. And then if you're a little bit clever in understanding the mechanisms of psychology, you can understand confirmation biases, speciesisms. You can understand the mechanisms that might give people delusional perception that there is some other truth. But clearly, I think the only evidence that has any logical integrity is the evidence that the elevation of a nothing to a good state is less urgent than the elevation of something in a bad state, a harmed state, being repaired or reclamated to an unharmed state. The weight is decidedly different. One is a nuclear force and the other is, I don't know, static electricity, I don't know, nothing. So anyway, till the next time, and such, and so forth and whatnot. It really is quite miserable. Yeah. I really do find that I am in complete agreement with this concept of never getting caught up in this trail walking, wanting, needing mechanism. Yes, I do think there was nothing to be gained by the experiment. Anyway, till, I already said it, I'll say it again. Oh, I probably will. I don't know what else. Maybe I'll say something different. My hand is cold. And what else? My feet are getting cold. And what else? It's bleak. Look at it. It's bleak out there. Bleakness everywhere. Anyway. Alright, now I'm done.